So, while I'm still waiting for stuff to finish uploading and processing or whatever. So, yesterday there was the rally, and this has realistically nothing to do with that because once that's uploaded, then I'll actually get to that portion. Anyway, in reference to 1776. There are a few different points that I'd like to bring up. So, when my now dead ex-husband, then husband, had gotten the gun safes that I ordered because he refused to do the most simplistic things, like listen. And not that I was nagging. I know that there are plenty of people who have spouses that nag. There is no denying that. Male or female, don't matter. So as a brief reminder for those who don't know, I had told my now dead ex-husband all he had to do was get a single gun safe, and I would have been fine. Anyone who has children or who have children that go to their home, understand you want to have a gun safe for firearms. My children, his biological children, were getting to the point where they could walk. I mean, my son was already walking. My daughter was crawling and getting ready to walk. Realistically, it was time. I had already been, as some would put it, nagging, but realistically not, just to get one gun safe. One gun safe, I'll leave you alone. You just put one gun safe, otherwise I'm going to go New Jersey on you. I'm going to go New Jersey gun laws on you. You don't want me to go New Jersey gun laws on you. Nobody wants that to occur, because if I have to go New Jersey gun laws on anything, you best believe I'm going to be CDO. You best believe, go look up New Jersey gun laws. If you live in any state that is not a Democratic state or a Democratic state, but especially if you live in a Republican state, look those laws up. You don't want me going New Jersey gun laws, and that is a metaphor in an overall sort of way, irony of that book. And so, all he had to do was get one gun safe. One. Because of my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000, I forgot. So, it took a while for me to remember. It took a while. When I finally did, and I might be off on the timing, I don't deny that, because of my issues with memories and stuff like that, and timelines and cognitive stuff and all that. So my daughter could have been just born, and my son getting ready to walk. Either way, it was just get the gun safe. That's all you gotta do. Just have some common sense. I know that I have said repeatedly, common sense is a superpower. I didn't realize how much that actually was true. I made the joke. Okay, fine. Fine. So, because he did not do that, I got a gun safe for the black powder pistols, the black powder rifles, the shotguns, the rifles, and the pistols, and then a gun safe for the bullets, as well as a gun safe for the gun locks that I got, and I wanted them keyed individually, just because. Now, I did also get a bedside gun safe, and this is where I'm getting to. So, it is called the Gamma 3 gun safe. It looked like an alarm clock, old-time alarm clock. I mean, wooden. I found that, I was like, ooh, that's pretty. That's pretty. That is pretty. It, when you would see it face on, it looked like a old-time radio. It actually had a radio. It has an alarm clock and everything like that. But on the top, it has a keypad. And you punch in the code, and you lightly tap the base of the lid, and it pneumatically opens And there's, I mean, you can use it for other stuff. There's no denying that. But that was a gun safe. And so, when he was doing the techie portion, he was like, so what is a number that you'll actually remember? In case, like, you actually need it, not that, and then he went into his spiel. And then I looked at him and I said, so, 1776. I'll remember 1776. And he looked at me and goes, why would you remember 1776? What's important about 1776? I mean, it was only only the year certain things started for the United States of America. I mean, that's all. That's all. I mean, it's just, just a really important year, if I'm not mistaken, in the United States of America's history. And then I got in trouble for that sarcasm and satire. Nonetheless, it was one of those, yes, I came up with that code because I'd remember it. Now, irony, when I actually could have used it in certain regards legally, I was thinking of a few other things, both short-term and long-term. And so, yeah, I had demanded that the gun safe code be after the year 1776. That was my choice, and so then it was the thing that I was made fun of for to a lot of individuals. And it was one of those, really. I mean, and my now dead ex-husband, when he was alive, he actually told people, he was like, yeah, she got me this gun safe, can you believe she got a gun safe? And everyone was like, well, you have children, right? And he was like, yeah, and they were like, so it makes sense that you have a gun safe. Then I dealt with that, because, I was right, so because I was right, then there was a reminder that I was right, and then I dealt with that. And those conversations, that is what it is. That was not their fault. That was, they at that time, they had no idea. Like, let me clarify that. They had no idea that I was dealing with what I was dealing with at the time. They learned later. But at that time, they had no idea that when getting back to the house, that I would be dealing with, how dare I be accurate about getting a gun safe for firearms with children. I mean, who would have thought that'd be a good idea? But for those of you who don't go and look, New Jersey gun laws, you can only have so many rounds in your clip. You do not get an unlimited supply in New Jersey gun laws. And so I actually prefer the Second Amendment, where you don't actually need that sort of thing. When it comes to gun laws, I mean, if you are able to maintain firearms, I very much believe that, you should have access to them if you are a law-abiding citizen. I do not necessarily believe that that mental health issues should be in consideration for that, because in this day and age, how many people have seen a psychologist, a therapist, a counselor, or any other sort of individual in that regard? I doubt that there's anyone in the apartment complex that I live in that could say that they have never at one point in time ever spoken with any of those. Myself included. Realistically, I have. I mean, though, I mean, not just because of my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. I mean, I had to speak with psychologists and counselors and therapists and psychiatrists and all that sort of stuff. So, that should not be a thing. Now, if there are severe issues, yes, I believe that that should be looked into and seen whether or not it's going to be a genuine problem. But I don't believe that just because, and again, I don't believe that just because you're on antidepressant prescriptions that you should have that revoked. No. No, I very much believe in the Second Amendment right and the right to bear arms. Irony. Come on, it's a funny joke. I'm sure somebody can giggle. I can't be the only one that can laugh at that. I mean, you know, I do have tattoos on my arms. It's not the exact same thing, but it has blown some people away about my tattoos on my arms. Though obviously that was not what the founding fathers and founding mothers had intended in that regard in specific to the Second Amendment right. It's just a funny dichotomy at this point in time, because I obviously am not the only person in the United States of America or the world, but specifically in the United States of America, who has tattoos on their arms. I know that for a fact. I've seen it with my own eyes. I have. Maybe not necessarily on the top of the hands or in the center of the palms, but I know. Nonetheless, right to bear arms. And in the state of Texas, it's a little warm. It does get a little bit warm in the state of Texas. Sometimes it feels like it's summertime in winter. Sometimes, depending on where you're from, and being born and raised in the state of New Jersey, it felt like summertime in wintertime. It took me a long time to acclimate to the fact that in the wintertime it was not snowing. It was one of those, well, it's nice. And I don't mean that in my biological mother Anna's way of nice. It's just, it's not snowing? When does the snow come? when does that happen? And does it happen? And then, ironically, like a year or two later, then there was snow, and I was like, hey, I recognize that stuff. And then, well, then I found out in the city of San Antonio, there are some people who are not accustomed to snow. I learned that, not from personal experience, thankfully, but I had seen it. There was this massively huge, several hundred car pileup. I was like, what? Nobody in the state of Texas has ever driven in snow? Why not? I didn't realize some people had not been outside of the state of Texas at that point in time. I figured because it was a military town that there were plenty of people who had been in other areas that had snow, and you know, that was oops. But it was pretty. Not necessarily the accidents, but not trying to be rude when I say that. It just is one of those. I had not known that it didn't snow in the state of Texas, and up until that point, I thought that, and you can make fun of me. That's fine. I can make fun of myself. I can do a really good job doing that too. I can. I am very much make fun of myself. I have done it plenty of times. I have made fun of myself many times before. That being said, yeah, so I had written about that in Finding a Silver Lining by Susan MeeLing. That's me. And so in reference to that, yeah, I was the one who had told my now dead ex-husband that I wanted the code to be that, and so he put it in the thingamabob, and it ironically, any time that I actually went to use, like, for actual self-defense, this is another reason why, in regards to those who have read that and learned about certain things, why I've said I didn't see him in 2 days, and I hadn't spoken with him in 2 days, and I was in a different part of the city when he died, aside from the aspects of the interrogations that I dealt with. Yeah, there was one time, and it only happened one time. It was enough for me to not do it again. When there was a really, really bad conversation. Really bad. I went to go and open it. And as soon as I hit the one, the zap went from my finger all the way across over here, and then went up my arm and all the way up. And then it radiated, and then I got in trouble for attempting to defend myself. So then that particular conversation continued quite a bit. And I ran and hid in the closet upstairs because of how bad that particular conversation had gotten. And I had written about a certain portion of some of the issues. And so this had happened a few times, but particularly during this one, as one example, I ran to the, or I should say, I crawled to the closet, I should say that. And I pushed the clothes on the bottom rack in front of me. I hid because of how bad it got. Now mind you, there was a blood trail. There's no denying that there was a blood trail that, you know, I had to clean up later. And I pushed the clothes in front and hid because it was there was a pause in the conversation where he went downstairs and started clamoring around in the first floor, and when I heard him coming back up the stairs, I did what I had to do to make sure that he did not see my children's rooms. And he wound up coming back into the bedroom, and I heard his footsteps as he, you know, came into the closet, and I did what I had to do, where just as he could not see my children's bedrooms, he could not find me. I literally watched his hand go all the way through me because of an attempt to find me and finish that conversation. And that sent him into a rage. A big one. And then he went downstairs, and after a few other attempts for him to go back upstairs because he could not understand why he saw the blood trail and couldn't find me, because shed quite a bit of blood that night. Nonetheless, that was a really bad conversation that night. that was over, I got myself out of the closet. I came out. I came out of the closet. Did that a few times, and I cleaned up the blood trail, and I went over to the gun safe, and getting within the vicinity of it, it was one of those, I don't understand what happened. I didn't then, in my thoughts, it was like, what happened? And I didn't touch it. Because that hurt that bad. That hurt that bad. It was one of those, okay. The only other time that I had, and it didn't matter, there was one of those, there was the issue with my biological sister and her friends at the time that were at the house, and this was again before my biological parents moved to the state of Texas. And when that had occurred with the boy that was using the hairspray, lighting it on fire, pushing it out of the way, preventing it from going to the other teenagers there, preventing it from going towards my house, all that sort of stuff. Oh, I was electrocuted. I was. That zapping that occurred when I went the first time, the only time by technicalities, before then, it did not matter. I dealt with the zapping that occurred, and so apparent and I dealt with that for each number, 1776, or 777, mathematically, and so or 3, or 21. Anyway, I dealt with that electrocution to go and defend my children and defend those that biological sister, as well as my house and my neighbors. Because again, as I've said in prior videos, and I would guesstimate that some of my neighbors wouldn't be able to remember how their fences were at that point in time, and it was 2003 or 2004. I think it was 2003. Nonetheless, I think it was 2003. Yeah, no, it was 2003. All of the fence lines would have gone up like a tinderbox, like a bunch of matches. And so, I mean, I didn't think much of it at that point in time. It wasn't that I didn't think much of it, I should clarify that. I did think that it was important. It was just one of those, I didn't bring it up because, well, there was a few other things I was dealing with at the time. Nonetheless, yeah, I made sure that that was taken care of, and then I wound up dealing with the conversation because I had gotten it out of the cutscene. As many people as I've had made fun of me, not that I chose that, that's just the terminology, for various things. He never remembered that I was the one who said the numbers for the program for that. I was the one who came up with that. And, I got made fun of for it, because how dare I think of that, or whatever. So, it is what it is. But yeah, I did that. I came up with 1776. all by myself. Ta-da. I mean, granted, you know, it's a secular year and stuff like that, but nonetheless, yeah. I did it. You caught me. And real quick before I end this particular video, if there is a question in reference to, well, I guess I'll do that in a different video because that one will make sense in a different one. So, you guys have a good one. Subscribe to my channel. Go to my website. Go buy my books. They're available on Kindle or Amazon books and stuff like that. Have a good one.